Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to more content on Anime Saga. Just doing a quick little beginner's guide here for you guys to let you guys know how to play the game and things you should bear in mind and, you know, keep an eye out for effectively. So we're just gonna dive right into this, right? When you're in the game, you'll literally be inside the summon area over here. And a lot of these NPCs are not gonna have names to them and stuff like that. But I think, in my opinion, one of the most important first things that you can do is head on over to where Rerolls is and talk to this NPC in this corner as a noob. That's going to be the NPC you talk to that actually be able to use codes in the game. And if you guys are curious as to what codes you can use, they have sorry for shutdown. You guys can use that for 500 gems. They have sorry for delay. I already used that code, but it will also give you some gems and other goodies. And then the last code is release. Again, I already used that code, but these should all give you like around like 3,000 gems or something total. So again, just make sure you take note of this NPC. Beyond that, we have this reroll section over here. So right next to the reroll section, they have an AFK chamber where you can go ahead and AFK. It's pretty self-explanatory. As you guys can see in here, you'll get like gems, golds, traits. You can, of course, then come back to rerolls and end up using your trait rerolls from the AFK section if you happen to AFK down over here. And the way this works is you select any random unit. By default, the index will not populate. You'll see the index here, and if you want to see what a specific trait does, you just click on it and then it'll populate down over here. So that's how that works. I know some people might have not been playing TD games but like the aspect of the dungeon crawling in this game, so you might not be familiar with these systems. You know, traits are just basically like bonus buffs and boosts that you can get for your champion, and this is how you get said traits. Now, every time you summon a unit, you will actually be able to see that they have a stat for their damage, cooldown, and health. Basically, these stats indicate just whether or not they get a plus minus percentile boost to their again, attack, speed, health, etc, etc. So you can come to the stats NPC here, because sometimes you'll roll NPCs that just have bad stat rolls, and you can actually re-roll with they call them spells in this game. As of right now, the only way that you can get those type of spells that I've seen is by talking to Katakuri, and with him you'll actually get level rewards. As you guys can see, at level 5 you get some, level 10, actually at level 10, excuse me, you get some, but if you go through all the levels, you guys can see you do get additional of those spells. Now, I want to tie this into quests as well. You guys want to be paying attention to your quests, because these don't auto-complete or auto-redeem. You guys have to manually claim them, as you guys are seeing that I'm doing right here. So you go to your dailies, you go to your weeklies, and you just hit claim, and you'll get obviously a bunch of coins, a bunch of gems. And if you guys take a look down over here, you have an infinite tab. The infinite tab, for me, everything's at 0%. If you click the play button, you guys can see that they lock infinite mode, which is called infinity, at level 15, and raids at level 25, and story is where you actually progress through the dungeons. And it's important to note that some dungeons are locked behind levels. So for example, the third dungeon is locked behind level 15. So even if I cleared out all the marine acts, which by the way, acts are how you progress through every single story or dungeon, once you clear all 5, you can be able to move on to the next one. But like I said, even if you have all of them unlocked, you might not have the sufficient levels. So you'll still have to keep grinding it. Just pay attention to the right-hand side of the dungeons right over here. So on the topic of raids and dungeons, I wanted to show you guys that you can also go down to like this play portal here, and this menu is also going to populate again. But the important thing with this area here is that you have these two NPCs, and this is the main reason why I wanted to make this tutorial too, because a lot of this stuff is just not self-explanatory, and they don't even have like prompts over them. But this is the raid shop. Okay, if you go to Rem, you guys can see you can buy a couple of units here. You can buy the spells as well that I mentioned to you guys. When I had mentioned prior that the only way that I've seen for you to get spells was from level rewards, I was talking about the attainment as a reward, not a purchase. But you know, you can obviously come down here when you unlock raids and you can purchase those, or you can purchase some trait rerolls for these raid tickets. Now, Remu is the best character hands down. Everybody agrees with it in the game currently as it is. That's why she's locked behind the raid shop. Oh, and obviously you get those raid tickets from doing raids. Pretty self-explanatory. Now, arguably, this is the second thing that you should have done after I showed you guys like where the codes NPC is at. Like the game and the group or whatever. You know, you get a reward for that, and it's a lot of gems. I forget what other stuff I got, because I did this when I first started playing, but it's a good amount of stuff. So if you guys haven't already, one last time, just make sure to use the codes that I show you guys in the beginning, and then just follow the group, like the game, and just redeem your reward right over here. That's behind the summon building. So Everything that I've shown you guys was literally to the right hand side of the summon. So that's where all the rerolls play, and then all this stuff is. Obviously, if you're new to gacha games, you can summon for units in this game. You know, basically whatever is on the forefront of the banner here, like for example, Gohan, Okuro, or Mochi, they get improved odds or chances for you to be able to get a character. So if you go to the index, you can actually see all the units in the game. And as you can see, by default, there's a 0.1% chance for you to get a mythical. Which also important to note that you need to be level 10 in order to get a mythic and summon a mythic from the banner. But since Okuro is on the forefront of the banner, he's at 1%. So obviously legendaries are also at 5%. If you check the base rates for legendaries, they're 4.9. So just wanted to point that out. And of course, this is how you actually get units. I'll go ahead and show you guys how this all looks. If I were to summon here, it's literally that simple. Again, effectively pretty self-explanatory, but there are people that have not played these type of games before and have only played like dungeon crawlers, not a dungeon crawler with a mixed TD aspect to it. So heading off into the left-hand side of the summon area, we actually have a shop over here. This is actually where you can go ahead and purchase XP items, Evo items, things of that nature. As you guys can see, we have two tabs. We have items and then we have materials. Items, again, are going to be your XP items. These are items that you will end up using on your unit. So if you're wondering like how do I level up my units, right? You basically go to them and you click feed. As it stands right now, in a lot of other games, you would be able to fuse your units into your main unit and level them up. In this game, you can only feed them. So when you have those items, you can either buy them or get them as drops from playing, you know, story acts and stuff like that. Like for example, you peep the rewards down over here, you see? So after you get those, you can add them over here into your character. And as you can see, my Zoro will gain a couple levels. So that is how you level up your units. And that is also how you obtain XP items, whether that be from playing or from buying it in the gold shop down over here. Additionally, I mentioned materials. These are items that you want to use for evolutions, and we'll get into evolutions in just a second. But these are here. Now, it's important to bear in mind that there is a restock timer as well on this gold shop. So what you see here will deplete after you buy the available total allotted items, but it'll restock. Just take note of the timer in the top left-hand corner, or right-hand corner, excuse me. Right next to that area, we have an emotes UI/NPC. You guys can go ahead and allocate whatever emotes you have equipped or available for you to equip right over here. So next to that, we have the evolution area. So you actually interact with the hourglass over here to be able to evolve a unit. So currently, I don't have any units that can evolve, but there are mythical units that can evo. And evolutions basically just makes your unit even better, stronger, and in some cases even give you additional abilities. Now, with that in mind, you can actually go and talk to Boo, and Boo will tell you what items require what materials. Okay, so for example, right here we have a fan, we have an Okarumbu ball, excuse me, oh my god. Freyrim's weapon, we have Zid's weapon, a Bochita. So if I go into areas, head back down into summon, you guys will see that these are basically all the mythics, so they can all evolve. And of course, every item ties with every mythic that can evolve. So basically, when you're going to evolve your unit, you will need an item and a prerequisite allotted amount of cash, as you guys can see, to craft it, and a bunch of like sub materials. Some of them, again, you can obtain from the shop, the gold shop that I showed you, or just simply from grinding, whether that be the play area, infinity, the infinite mode, you know, raids, etc, etc. So currently I am level 12, but leveling is pretty easy. I would say arguably the easiest way to level up would be to, you know, pick an act here on the first stage. And I currently am running this on hard difficulty, but you guys will see it's really easy to complete once you get some pretty decent units. Katakuri was hands down the best legendary unit, but he got nerfed pretty hard. He's still really viable, really good. So that just goes to show you how broken he was before. By the way, there also is no block button in this game, so you can't block any attacks. You're just gonna have to dodge out of the way. So whenever you see like a red circle prompt or whatever the case is, just dodge out of the way. You press Q to dodge, or barrel, whatever you want to call it, and you should be good from there on out. I really wish, by the way, I could tell you guys what the best beginner units are. You're just gonna have to like give it some time. Like, these things are changing by the hour, quite literally. Like, everything is getting balanced and changed up, so it's pointless for me to tell you guys like, oh, this unit is really good. is really good for beginners and this and that. It's gonna change up, you know what I mean? But Sasuke is pretty decent, excuse me, no matter what. Sasuke has held up. He's an epic unit, so if you're a noob, you can't get a legendary, I would try to my best to settle with Sasuke. He'll be very good for the Naruto map especially. So I wanted to show you guys bosses. Every stage is going to have a different boss. Now, when bosses get on their knees, very much like how Orochimaru is right down over here, they can actually take damage and get hit. You can hit them regardless, but this is when they're most vulnerable because they won't be attacking you back and you can just like literally just get a bunch of free hits effectively. So needless to say, every boss is going to have their pros and cons to their moveset. Some bosses are going to have huge AoE abilities. Some bosses are going to be like this where they're down, but they have an NPC protecting them. Some bosses are going to be transformed. Sometimes you'll fight Shukaku. You just have to see what fits best for your playstyle. But as you guys saw, we got 42 XP. We just need 233 to level up. That took us quite literally not too much time, and we were running it on hard difficulty. If you run it on normal, it'll be even quicker. So I just wanted to show you guys a different type of boss in the same story. This is Shukaku, the last boss in Act 5. And as you guys can tell, he has a different moveset. He behaves differently. So this is why everything is effectively situational, but just bear in mind that you want to be dodging out of the way of these attacks as much as you can, and just wait until the bosses are vulnerable for you to attack them. Lastly, I wanted to do this mission in specific, or this act in specific, because I wanted to show you guys that I completed this in 3 minutes and 43 seconds on normal difficulty, and we got 35 XP. So leveling is not that hard. You just want to stick to doing leveling unless you have friends to play with. Unlike the marine stage or any other stage, just stick with the Leaf Village for now as a noob, and it'll be pretty easy for you to level up and gain levels through there. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much it. You should now know everything you need to know to get your adventure started on Anime Saga.